like to thank all of y'all for coming today. My name is Rachel Pilcher. I am the Managing Director of Wildcatter Exchange, and I'm also the founder and owner of Fort Worth Writers Boot Camp, so we're very happy to have all of y'all here. Today, we are having, the TCU Press is presenting Brian Honea, correct? Honea, and Coach Chuck Curtis. Brian Honea is a nonfiction sports author and editor. He has written and published sports books, Almo Power, is that correct? Almo Power, the story of the 1977 Texas 2A state champion Wiley Pirates, and Moonshots, and Short Hops, and everything in between. Honea lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where he works as a freelance writer and editor, and is an avid fan of the Texas Rangers. Chuck Curtis is a retired NCAA football coach. He coached for the likes of SMU and UTA. Chuck Curtis was born in Midlothian, Texas on July 15, 1935, to farmers John and Bonnie Curtis.
Correct.
From humble beginnings in the throes of the Great Depression, Curtis would go on to become one of the most successful quarterbacks in TCU history, one of Texas football's most interesting figures, and a guiding hand of the Cowboy Church. Honea will interview legendary Coach Chuck Curtis about his long and storied career. Gentlemen,
thank you.
Begin.
Well, Mr. Curtis, why don't we tell the audience to start off with, why did you decide to do this book at this time? What do you hope the readers can get out of it from reading this book? What do you hope the reader will take away from reading this book?
Well, I'll tell you, I've read several books in my time, and decided I'd put one together that would bring forth some honesty, integrity, and if you're going to trade horses, I'm planning on beating you. And for a good fun and all, it's just, my life has been blessed so many times from the good Lord upstairs. And with that, I started out in Gainesville, Texas as a high school coach, and worked my way up to, I got to do a lot of fun with the upper class of people that could not only just throw a football, but they had above that to talk and show that we all at times we need some strong strength to be on your side, and I think in coming up with the football so much, and coaching it, playing it, and all, it's been a wonderful situation, and we're one of the few. We've had a great game every year. The way we planned it and the way we got the kids and put them together and let them do the best that they possibly can, and that we all found out that, you know what, we can beat that other team, and we can do it because we're going to outwork them, and we're going to know the weak spot, and then we're going to enjoy the spot that's going to fall our direction. And so that was the fun part and all, and I've got so many other angles. Gotta tell it like it is. My dad and mom were preachers. My dad was a big man for then, about 6'4". He could handle the strap pretty good. And I learned mighty quick. If he just gave me a wink or whatever, I better get it done. I better get no griping, no griping. And so that was on the farm, just kind of outside of Midlothian. And with that, I'd go to school barefooted. I don't know how many of y'all have ever done that, but it was more common back then.
Did you have to walk uphill?
So, you know, or downhill.
Okay.
Either way. But it was getting along a little bit better. I knew then I wanted to be in something competitive. I got on the bulls, rode bulls. Finally, my dad told me some smart, I could get a little bit smarter, live a little longer, leaving them bulls alone. He got pretty close to it. So let me know for sure. But I did get injured once. But football, same way. It was it. You just got to be in condition, and that's work. You just got to be in condition, and you got to grab your control of yourself and your team and the players, you know. Now I'm just kind of slack off here. Might be something else y'all want me to talk about or shut up.
Your teams, some people might not be aware, but your high school teams won 3 straight state championships. First at Jacksboro, and then 2 at Garland in 3 consecutive years. And as far as I know, you're the only coach who's won state championships at the high school level in Texas in different classifications in back-to-back years. Because Jacksboro was 2A at that time, and Garland was 4A. And you did it largely through positive reinforcement rather than disciplinary type or motivating your players out of fear. Instead of doing that, you did it out of positive reinforcement. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, fun. That's what if you're gonna work hard out there, you know, you might as well have some fun with it and all. And I think that reasons everybody had an opportunity to step forward. And so that's, if you have fun, you stay positive, and if you can be a team player, if you're gonna win it all, you need to be a team player. And that's the easiest, that's the best way of getting where you're going to get. And anyway, I'll let you tweak it a little bit if you want to talk.
Talk, all right. Well, Coach Curtis played, you played for TCU, the quarterback. You also played defense for
Yep.
TCU, correct?
Right.
Okay, so you did that for your last 3 years there, right? Sophomore, junior, and senior years. And I believe this is in the book, but your junior and senior years, the team only lost 5 games in the 2 years combined. And most of those 5 losses were by less than 3 points or less. So your TCU teams always stay competitive. And junior year, made it to the Cotton Bowl. You played Ole Miss, and then you got injured on the first play, if I remember correctly, in 1956, the 1956 Cotton Bowl. And then you were determined to go the following year back to the Cotton Bowl, and you did, and you played against Syracuse and Jim Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about
We beat
what it was
that
like
little boy.
Talk about what it was like to play against Jim Brown. You played defense against him. You tried to tackle him. You tackled him a few times.
That's
So
right.
yeah, how tough was that?
I'll tell you, he's tough as nails. He's tough as, man, to run.
And he did everything for Syracuse,
He
right?
did.
I mean, he kicked, and he was the kicker and the
Yeah.
punter, and he played defense and offense. And
Yeah.
He did everything. Right, so,
Yeah, and our team, because of team effort, we won that game pretty handily.
right. And you had one of your best games in that game, correct?
Uh-huh.
One of your best games of your college career in that game against Syracuse. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, also, Jim Brown was the first African-American player to play in the Cotton Bowl, and that was in 1957, New Year's Day of 1957.
Just a little bit before that, though, we had another very interesting. I recruited the first black football player in TCU Stadium and in our area, and it worked out very wonderful.
That was when you were a coach at SMU, is that correct?
SMU, yes, that's right.
All right, now you found Jerry Levias was from Beaumont, correct?
Right, he was, and I had got to SMU during the recruiting system, and so that's how I was out and about. Coach Fry, and we said to get the best athlete you can find, and so I said, well, I can sure do that. So I took off and just started driving around Texas and all, and I keep hearing a kid's name, Jerry Levias, out running everybody and out throwing everybody, and their high school team and all, they're winning it. And so I got over there and got introduced, and man, I had some more fun because I was so back. They didn't want me to go back to our homestand, but yet they wanted to spend some time talking, and so they invited me into their club and in their house and all, and so that got interesting. How, because of it being the first black, and it worked out real well. I spent so much time there because she had asked me if I'd stay for dinner. Fortunately, I did.
Mrs. Levias could really cook, couldn't she?
Yes, sure could. And man, it was good. So I just kind of stayed there another few days or a week and all. And at that time, he was put in another all-star game in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And so I had to pull up there. My job there was to keep him in fold. Just going to be going to SMU.
To keep people from, the other coaches from stealing him, right?
Yeah. I had a little problem with one, but I got the first lick and didn't have to get around it too bad. But then they left Jerry alone.
Well, SMU was pretty successful with Jerry. They hadn't been successful pretty much since, the Doak Walker days of the 40s, so they went through a long dry spell, and then getting Jerry Levias is pretty much what turned them around.
Yes.
Let's go back a little bit, talk about, backtrack just a little bit, but you played for Abe Martin at TCU.
Right.
He's legendary around here, these parts in Fort Worth. And, Abe is what motivated you to become a coach. Tell me about what it was like to play for Abe Martin.
Well, Coach Martin, he's from Jacksboro, Texas, and lived on a farm and all. And at that time, I really think football was separate. As farming and being a countryman kind of was a certain place. And then it all kind of flipped as we got really going. But I've never heard him cuss a word. And in all the years that he coached while I was there. And man, it was just, he wanted men to be on his team. And there would be no foul language, no dipping stuff, snuff and duff and all that kind of stuff. Said we're here to thank God for the talents that we've got and that we can be the best if we'll just make forth the extra effort. If we're gonna win, and you're gonna win is fun. And it's the only way to climb that ladder and climb it fast. Just back up, punt if you had to, get forward, run a note, throw that safety pass, and all the other things that you can do to keep your team going forward.
That's the same philosophy you used when you were coaching, right? We're gonna win and we're gonna have fun while we're doing it if we just put forth that extra effort. Now, you got drafted out of college by both the Canadian League, Winnipeg from the Canadian League,
Yep.
and the Giants from the NFL. And so you had your choice, and you went to Winnipeg to start off with.
Mm-hmm.
And you played for Bud Grant, who was later with the Vikings for a long time.
Yep.
And he's a Hall of Famer. In fact, he's the only coach to be in both the American and Canadian Halls of Fame. So tell me what you got from, or what you learned from playing under Bud Grant.
Well, he's a gentleman deluxe, low voice, never gets out of his range, but he's a gentleman. He was a gentleman coach, the closest Dave Martin that I played for. And boy, howdy, that was fun. And getting that to go together, the good Lord had, man, talk about giving me a blessing. But when I went to the Canadian League first, all right, and we had some backs that had some problems, and they got injury problems. And so anyway, when they set them aside, I saw a chance there to go to play for the New York Giants.
So Winnipeg traded you for two running backs.
Yeah, Winnipeg traded me for,
to the Giants for
two running backs, and I was the quarterback.
Right.
And then was there when the surprise to me how anyone can be so lucky only with the good Lord carrying you along is that I did not know who the coaches were at New York, and had no idea. And as I watched them work, watched the coaching there, I had no idea, but Miss Lombardi and Tom Landry was the assistant coach. So I learned by the best Christian type coaches and pass it around to the others. And I knew, man, we just got to keep this thing going. We can win. And we did win.
What's your favorite memory of Tom Landry?
Tom Landry was good. great. Miss Lombardi was good, was great. But he had one little deal. He wanted to win so bad, he used some bad language a little bit. And then he went ahead and got after one of our smaller players. And I asked him to let me take that shot that he's gonna take with him. And I'll run that same play and I'll run with him. He said, no, there'll be none of that. Good Lord's done told me I shouldn't have said nothing. So that's the way we backed in to New York Giants and had a wonderful career there.
So after that, you got out of playing for the Giants and you went on to Holiday, your first coaching job when you were 23 years old. And then after a year there, and Holiday was 8-2, barely missed the playoffs. Your 1 year you spent there. And then you went to Jacksboro, Eddie Martin's alma mater, which had been 0-3. They didn't win a game the year before you arrived. So you took them from 0-10 the year before you arrived to undefeated state champions just 4 years later in 1962. And not just undefeated state champions, but I hope I've got these numbers right. And Jacksboro your team scored 602 points in 15 games and only allowed 43. So only allowed 43 points total in 15 games, and undefeated state champions. And then you went on to Garland from there with Homer B. Johnson, recruited you to come to Garland because he knew about you from watching Jacksboro. Now, Homer B. Johnson is a legend over at Garland where I'm from. So what's your favorite memories of working with Homer B. Johnson?
It's a piece of work. He was having too much fun, and I thought first, and I got where I to go, sure enough, have that much fun too. But they were good coaches. They were very good coaches. And I had, thank goodness, I had all of that learning and all. There's no way in the world that I could walk out TCU and walk over there and Tom Landry and Vince Lombardi is my coach. It doesn't get any greater than that, I'll tell you. And the numbers that we put together winning their own contagious, and it just turned into a wonderful situation. Let's pass it to you.
Let's fast forward a little bit to Cleburne. Now, you coached Cleburne for 3 years and developed a pretty good rivalry with another Texas coaching legend, Gordon Wood.
Yep.
And played. Now, the first year, Gordon's team, Brownwood team, beat Cleburne. Your first year there, barely. You had them on the ropes, and that one got away. But then the following year, you were determined you were going to beat Gordon Wood's team, Brownwood team. And so you all started a countdown. And everybody in town was in on the radio station, newspapers. Everybody wore Beat Brownwood t-shirts. And normally as a coach, any coach will tell you they're not looking forward past the next game, but I guess you all had Brownwood marked on your calendar right from the beginning of the season.
Yep.
So, and then when the game happened, it was so big you had to move it to Amon Carter Stadium.
Had 36,000 people there.
Right.
That day.
For a regular season Class 4A high school game. So, which was pretty unheard of for that time, which was 82. So it was unheard of to have that many people at a regular season Class 4A high school football game. But y'all won that game
Yep.
9-3. So tell me about your talk about your rivalry with Gordon Wood and winning that game.
Oh, boy. I got
You gotta set your hat down for
this,
this one.
this hat's too hot. I got let him cool off over this. Hey, he's a great coach. And great guy. But we had our differences. He always said I was cheating. Yeah. I spent more hours than they did. And so anyway, it's kind of how it got to rolling. And we didn't much like each other.
You got to be a pretty heated rivalry, didn't you?
Yes, it was, but we beat him. That was one of my wonderful stories to beat him, because he had wrote a book too.
The coach of the century, right?
Yeah. And he had me in it, recruiting kids, this, that, and the other, and all of it. So I just kind of enjoyed that.
Now, he accused you of recruiting players, which was illegal, correct? He accused you of doing that.
He did.
He was just trying to get any kind of advantage he could, apparently.
Yeah.
But, he'd been very successful in Brownwood, but from research, looks like when you came to Cleburne in 1981, it had been 17 years since Cleburne had beaten Brownwood. And he'd been there that whole time. He was there in Brownwood for a long time. But y'all beat him that year in Amon Carter Stadium, and went on to win the district championship. I think you all knew that the winner of that game was going to win the district championship.
Right.
And you all did go on to win it. And went to the state quarterfinals that year, which was kind of uncharted territory for Cleburne. So you took Cleburne to where they'd never been before. And then the following year, you all beat Brownwood again, so you beat them 2 out of 3. So, you know, I'd say you were pretty successful in your. You had the upper hand there in the rivalry against Coach Wood. They're beating him 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it's getting too bad. Just drive here and drive yonder to see if that mom and papa was sold on me. Said he'll cheat your kid. Yeah, so I just kept cheating our kid. And enjoyed it.
After that game at Amon Carter Stadium, tell us about when you went up to shake hands with him in midfield. He was on oxygen, correct?
Yeah, went over and he had kind of scared me. And another thing happened. That's the first time in the stands my wife now.
That's right. Carol was in the stands
Was
that
in
day.
the stands, and then she and some of the other girls come down after the game. Yeah, man, I was wheeling and dealing now. I'm looking good, talking good, and, you know. And she wound up being my wife, and a dandy girl too. Christian girl, and all that. She's helped me in many ways. I gotta tell you, I've had some health problems, and through her and my God, we're now back to almost natural, healthy can be for a longer pace. A gentleman being out and working, coaching, and all, can do it all now. So it took a few years, but we're there. And we're coming around again, hoping that I've said something that would jingle your bell to where you can say, you know, when you go to a football game, I like to know about background both sides and all. And I think most other people do too. But with it happening, it's been a great high school run.
Well, we got just a couple of minutes left, so
Rest my case.
in the last couple of minutes, let's talk about you and Carol are founding members of the Palo Pinto County Cowboy Church.
Yep.
So for the last couple of minutes we have, why don't you tell the audience about what it's like to be members, has watched that church grow to where it is now in the last few years.
Well, this is a wonderful thing here. We started it from scratch. We got a piece of property where the auction barn was real close to it, and the cattle and so forth and all, and we got the property and all, and so we just moved the cattle over a little bit and have our Sunday go to meeting and all, and it's been fun. We started out with 8 members, and now we're running 500. It's just remarkable how God has blessed me. I hope something said that would give you the strength, the courage to stand in there for your rights, and that we can all have fun. We can have more fun when we win. And we'll bet that many good things are going to happen to this group of people.
Thank you. I want to thank you for the interview today.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
We have a few minutes for questions from the audience, if you would like to ask questions here. About 5 minutes.
What's that ring you're wearing?
Football.
What team?
That's
The
the
Garland.
That's the Garland. That's the Garland Hall of Honor ring,
Okay.
which you were inducted into the Garland Hall of Honor in 1991, I believe.
Yeah.
You have a cotton bowl ring?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, I got a couple of them.
Yeah. Does it look like that one?
Yeah. Pretty close to that. Yeah.
He's only got so many fingers.
Yeah, I look too gaudy.
Right.
It's good.
You got the same problem Troy Aikman's got. Just,
Hard to eat.
yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to ask, you say you were nice as a coach, but, you won every place you went. So there's got to be something. There's other coaches that are nice. So there's got to be something that you did that either other coaches weren't doing, or there's something there. And I mean, can we put away for a second the modesty and tell us what did you do? Because you did something different.
Well, I tell you, my little speech when I first go to the new school and all is, y'all going getting in some shock here, because we're going to work, and we're going to be team players. And I think just going directly to them. And I even had a couple times I have let the parents come to meet with one of our meetings and all. And I wanted them to know too, that we asked the good Lord up there to help us, keep us harm without having harm of injuries and so forth. And it's just a closed net, great feeling. And you can run faster, and you can throw further. You can do all of that and have fun and win a championship.
So you worked him hard, but you stressed that this is going to be fun because because if you put that extra effort forth, you're going to win, and winning is fun, right?
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
And the thing that you told your players is, I'm going to let you police yourselves, right? Because that's what you did different, is you trusted them to be their own disciplinarians rather than you having to intervene and discipline the players.
Yeah.
And I think they reciprocated that trust.
Well, I guess I had good coaching with their parents too. I wanted them to know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Called a banquet night or whatever, just our players' parents, and let them know how and why and how come. And we're going to win. We're going to have fun. And good Lord just kind of helped us along the way with it.
Fantastic.
Here,
Thank you.
I'm sure I just missed it, but what years did you play for TCU?
I was there in the mid-50s.
It was 1957 was the Cotton Bowl, New Year's Day of '57,
Yeah.
where y'all played Syracuse.
Yeah.
And that was your senior year.
Yeah, and that was just Jim Brown. He's quite a football player.
Did you raise your hand? Oh, okay.
Scratching my head.
Go ahead.
Are there any things that you learned at TCU, whether in the football program or in class, that you really found valuable later in life?
Yeah, I sure do. And our team, if you saw them part of the time this season, they didn't have the talent or the size or the speed exactly like we got back in their old days, but yet they were a good football team and got to be better and better, especially when they beat Baylor or some of the other schools around. And,
The University of Texas, right?
yeah, my daughter, I had to forgive her. She went to Texas, so she's a Christian gal. She knows the book of the Bible and all. And Kim, she's a wonderful, wonderful person. Love her.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story.